Hello again, and welcome to another episode of the Fun Fans Podcast. I'm your host, James UofSC. Coming soon, hopefully. My co-host will be joining me soon, Bailey Jackson. We'll be looking for him to hop on as soon as he can. I think he is traveling today. But we're going to talk to you about our support of the Tigers supporting the Friday nights. On Friday nights, we're going to talk a little bit of football. Then it's about time to start talking some specific tailgate prep. And we're going to catch up on all the important topics in sports, especially in Clemson. But first, the Fun Fans are a proud part of the Fanboys Fangirls Sports Podcasting Network. If you're a true sports fan, the Fanboys Fangirls is perfect for you. Find various nationwide podcasts and other sports media at thefanboys.com and all forms of social media. The Fun Fans Podcast is the official podcast for Clemson fans. We're also brought to you by Rubens Food, Sports, Spirits, and Catering, the best wings around, with 2 locations in the upstate, 1083 Batesville Road in Greer and 11028 Anderson Road in Piedmont, South Carolina. Find them at rubensc.com. Rubens is simply a great place to eat for all sports fans. The Fun Fans Podcast is also proudly brought to you by Ivy O'Sullivan Care Services. Ivy O'Sullivan, they're more than just chiropractors. Since 1977, this family-owned business located in downtown Spartanburg, South Carolina, has been helping people with techniques other than the typical twisting and popping that can sometimes make people nervous about trying a chiropractor. I've been a patient my entire life, and I take my own children there as well. If you have an ache or pain, give Ivy O'Sullivan Healthcare a try. And if you mention the Fun Fans Podcast, they will donate 100% of your initial evaluation cost to their charity of the month. So call them at 864-583-3967. That's 864-583-3967, or find them at ivyosullivan.com to feel better and function at your best. All right, so big news this week with Clemson athletics, and this is not just Clemson, because this has to do with across the board, the college conference expansion and all that fun stuff. Is the ESPN asked Clemson, who is hosting the Clemson Carolina football game this fall, to move that game, which is currently scheduled for the Saturday after Thanksgiving, to the Friday night, that just one night earlier. So it would be Black Friday, the shopping day, whatever you want to call it, day after Thanksgiving. So most of my lifetime, that game was always the Saturday before Thanksgiving. But then when the schedules went to 12 games, that got bumped. Way back in the day, traditionally, it was Thursday. It was a Thursday night, maybe even earlier than that. So anyway, but it's been a long, long time that it's been the Saturday after Thanksgiving, and it's definitely always been on Saturdays. And ESPN asked Clemson to move it, which I guess it was an ask. We talk about how much TV's in charge. Maybe they're not in charge as much as we think they are. But Clemson said no. Now, you may wonder why. And really, that's only half the story. That's probably not even half the story. The biggest part of the story is the ACC followed up with a letter to Clemson saying, basically, you shouldn't have done that. You did not play nice with our corporate sponsor, with our big money maker. But now, so you wonder why Clemson will do that. A lot of folks would think it has something to do with the court case, Clemson getting out of the ACC, et cetera, et cetera. Possibly so. However, just like a lot of things that you see and hear first right here on the Fun Fans Podcast, is what Bailey has said multiple times, and he is adamant that you will never, ever, ever see Clemson or South Carolina host a college football game on Friday night because of high school football, the importance of high school football in this state. Now, Friday, that late in November, that is the upper state championship Friday night for high school football. So it gets down to, there's only, 10 teams playing across the state. Is that right? Yeah, I used to be able to add stuff up fast in my head, but, getting a little older. But that's a big deal. Obviously, that's a big, upper state championship. So that's a big Friday night. And it has more to do with respecting the high school game and probably recruiting for Clemson and South Carolina than, showing that respect and being able to get into the living rooms and into the high schools and that type thing with the in-state kids than, the crowd. It's not like Clemson wouldn't have plenty of people at Death Valley for the Clemson Carolina game on that Friday night if they were to play the game. So, we can speculate why. We may never know why, but we can always think that you heard here first. Bailey has said many times they will never play a game on Friday night due to high school football. So, speaking of the court cases, though, there should be some interesting verdicts coming up here in a couple of weeks. Bailey and I plan on having a little bit of fun with those. We don't get into the total seriousness of everything. We just like having a good time. Speaking of having a good time, the fiscal year ended. I enjoy saying fiscal year. So we want to talk about people have been changing over. This was the official Oklahoma, Texas going to SEC, the folks that were making the changes. But the Clemson Athletics put something out, and I've got what I'm about to say from TigerNet about the year Clemson Athletics had, and it was a banner year. The first thing I'm going to point out as well, is that home attendance grew by more than 20% across all sports. And that's big. And see, that speaks to things like this podcast, because we talk about having fun, attending the games, being there for the players, being there with your friends, having a good time before, during, and after. So maybe we contributed to that. I don't know. We'll just say that. Nobody needs to know any different. But increasing attendance by 20% was awesome. Advancing to the NCAA Elite Eight or better in 4 sports for the first time since the 79-80. And that would have been in men's soccer, women's soccer, men's basketball, and women's golf. The men's soccer program claimed its second national championship in 3 years, and the women's program advanced to the College Cup for the first time ever. Clemson made NCAA postseason appearances in men's basketball, softball, baseball, men's soccer, men's golf, women's golf, gymnastics, men and women's indoor track, men and women's outdoor track, women's cross country. I mean, that's a long list for postseason stuff. That's usually the goal in college sports. Men's basketball reached its second Elite Eight in program history. So that was awesome. Football team went 9-4, including a win over South Carolina, a Gator Bowl victory over Kentucky. And so Clemson has won at least one postseason game in 13 consecutive seasons. Clemson was one of only 2 schools in the nation to win a football bowl game and advance to the Elite Eight in men's basketball and win a regional in baseball. So the men's, like the big 3 men's sports, did really, really well. And we, kicked off a gymnastics program, first time ever in the inaugural season, finished second in the conference, made an NCAA tournament appearance. So that was awesome. Won the Palmetto Series, and to some folks, that's the most important game in every sport. So we beat South Carolina in men's soccer, football, men's basketball, baseball, women's cross country, men's golf. I don't know the list of games we didn't beat them in, but that's what we're sticking with. They're going to stick with what they won, and we'll stick with what we won. And this is also important. We'll start in with things that are very, very important. We set records across the board for graduation rates and other academic successes. So you can read that full article on TigerNet. We'll give them credit for writing that article. But it was just a great, great season, 23-24 for the Clemson Tiger Athletics. All the men and women's sports just did really, really, really well, and only looking to go up. All right, which means we'll just have more fun, more attendance, more fun, more games, more winning, more postseason. So it's going to be awesome. All right, speaking of being awesome, right around the corner is football. We're starting to say that every week, but the Georgia game's coming up. I think it's 8 Saturdays from now. We're going to talk about one of the most important Saturdays, which is the Saturday before it all starts. We'll do a show on that. If you remember from last year, you might know what I'm talking about, but don't forget that one. So, but we want to get ready. It's not too early to get ready. And we've come up with some Fun Fans preseason tailgating tips. Now, we don't do, everybody's trying to pick the top 5, who's going to finish where in the conference and all this jazz. That's not how we roll. But right now in the preseason, we're getting ready for the tailgating. So the top 5 tailgating tips from the fun fans. And you cannot start. This is like mid-July. You can start doing this. So get ready. Number 5, a Costco's membership. I put the S on purpose. That's just what I do. Now, it don't have to be Costco's, but some wholesale warehouse, because you're going to need to buy stuff in bulk. It kind of goes hand in hand with number 4, which is to stock up. Stuff that you know you're going to like at the tailgate throughout the season, just stock up. And the reason is this is a very important strategy. When you have those consecutive Saturday home games, most people, we work in between. We don't have time to go out every week necessarily to stock up for each and every tailgate. So we stock up at the beginning of the season. We play smart. See, it's smart stuff. Costco's, Sam's, whatever, BJ's, where if there's one near where you live, get your membership, get stocked up. Got to have plenty of water, the big bags of chips. You know you're going to have lots of chips, whatever chips the snacks and all that stuff. So stock up on that. All right. You can do that early. Plus, you can spread out your spending. So it's financially, fiscally responsible. There's that word again. Fiscally responsible. You go to Costco's 3 or 4 times between now and when the season starts. All right, this is important. Speaking of being fiscally responsible, buy equipment that fits your budget and your butt. All right, so you see all these tailgates, and they all match, and they're all pretty, and they're all orange, or they're all purple. That's fine. That's fine. If that's how you roll, it looks great. But here at the Fun Fans Podcast, if the seat don't fit, if it's too low, it's too high, it's too big, if it's not comfortable, they make some very comfortable lawn chairs nowadays, folks. And they're not that expensive, but they're not necessarily orange. They don't have the paw on them, whatever. Fun Fans, we want to have a good time at the tailgate. You want one that's comfortable, you want one that fits, and you also want one that fits your budget. If you got a family of 5 and you got a new, one more friend coming, you think you need 6 chairs, don't go buy 6 new chairs. You don't need them all to match. That don't necessarily fit your budget. You want to spend your money on the fun so you can buy one more chair, whether it matches or not. So get the equipment that fits your butt and your budget. Number 2 is don't wait. Like I said, you cannot start this too early. You make your list. You're going to stock up. You got to get all these things. You got your time right now before the Saturdays are being occupied, and you can't wait till the last Saturday before the football season starts. That's a no-no. We'll talk about that on another show coming up in August. But that Saturday is also reserved. So you got to be one weekend ahead of the game when it comes to getting ready for football season. If you don't know why, maybe you're not married. But if you're married, you probably know why. But stock up, start early, don't wait. Plus, once again, not waiting, it allows you to spread out your expenditures, so you're being fiscally responsible. And this one's important. See, these aren't jokes. A lot of times our lists are like jokes. Maybe this is kind of funny, but this list is for real. I should publish the list. But number 1 is know who you're buying from. Now, I say that in reference to tickets and parking passes. We see online all the time about, they want this, they need that, they have this, they have that. So, number 1, if you're buying from IPTAY or Clemson, bam, you got it covered. You know who you're buying from. If you're not, if you're buying your tickets or parking pass secondhand, you need to know who you're buying from. The Fun Fans know who we buy our stuff from. Okay? We get our stuff from some friends, and the little mix there. If you don't have a friend, somebody that you actually know, so you're asking yourself, say, James, what if I see, how do I know if I don't know? How do I know if I know? We don't want to get the 3 degrees of separation. So if you're buying something online, if you're a Clemson fan and you're buying something on Facebook, and this is my rule of thumb, if I go to that person's profile and we don't have any friends in common, I don't know them enough to buy anything from them. Okay? That's just, there's enough stuff out there where, and if you're a Clemson fan, and if they're a Clemson fan, if they really have Clemson parking passes for sale and Clemson tickets for sale, then they're going to have a nice hundreds, generally with the way Facebook works nowadays, Facebook friends that are Clemson fans, if you're the same way, there's gonna be some cross there. There's gonna be some cross. If there is not one friend in common on social media that you have with this person, I would not buy from that person. Now, there are ways to vet this person. I've seen people just come out and ask, does anybody know this guy? But that's kind of risky. Just move on to the next set of tickets. Just move on to the next parking pass, and just be careful with your money when you come to that. So know who you're buying your tickets and your parking pass from. You're welcome. You got that public service announcement here on the Fun Fans podcast. All right. But you know what you definitely need to buy? You need to buy some W. Everyone needs energy. It's hot. It's summertime. You need some energy. You need to be able to get through the day. You need something that's cool, mixed with some ice cold water, jitterless energy drink. Go to w.gg and enter promo codes FUNFANS to give you your jitterless energy. Trust me, you know who you're buying from on that one. All right. Update on United Row. We had these girls on our show. It's been a while now, maybe in last summer. So these two former rowers for Clemson University, they're always rowers. They're rowing right now. They're about 2/3 of the way on their trip rowing in the Pacific Ocean from California to Hawaii. They have 1,000, as of earlier today, they have 1,035 nautical miles remaining out of close to 3,000. So they're about 1/3 of the way, or 2/3 of the way. They're about 1/3 of the way left to go. And you can find them on Instagram, find them online. Just search United Row. Go to our social media. You can find them. United Row. These girls are raising money for the Hear Her Roar initiative at Clemson University, where they support women athletics. So go support those ladies. Cheer for them. They're getting calluses all over their hands. They're just rowing and their hands are getting all. So keep those ladies in mind. And there's just two ladies in a boat going all the way across the Pacific. It's kind of wild. And anyway, so now I'm going to save the discussion for a limited number of conferences in the playoffs when I have Bailey on here. That's that. You got to have somebody to bounce that off of. We probably need to get 2 or 3 folks on there and have that conversation. But I'm going to save that one. So coming up soon, there's going to be a conversation about the effects overall, and it might be fine. I'm not saying it's going to be a bad thing if only 2 or 3 conferences are represented in the playoffs. So, but we'll see. We'll get some folks on here and have a little powwow about that. But what we definitely want to talk about is the Orange and White Alumni Weekend. Okay, for the second year in a row, the Fun Fans podcast are in special partnership with WAB Sports, and we are the official podcast for the Orange and White Alumni Fundraiser Weekend. You heard Coach Cliff Ellis on here and I actually replayed the interview, and I'm going to be replaying that interview periodically. You can find it on our social media, find our YouTube channel. It's a great cause. It's a good time. Don't miss it. So August 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. August 2nd is a tailgate. The 3rd, they'll have some autograph signing in the afternoon and a gala that night. The 4th is a golf tournament. Find the links on the social media. This is go search for Orange and White or go search for Wayne Buckingham on his social media. Many of these events are free, but if you have a business you want to donate, you can get a table at the gala. You can get a table to sit with certain big time Clemson folks. And I mean, the list goes on and on of folks that are normally there. Okay. Levon Kirkland last year, Coach Danny Ford, obviously Coach Ellis is going to be there. Wayne Buckingham, basketball players. We talked with Chris Whitney last year, Dale Davis, Eldon Campbell, and, Perry Tuttle. Just the list goes on and on, folks that you can hang out with at these tailgates and these events. And at the same time, you can be supporting a good cause. So find the Orange and White Weekend. They have their own Facebook page as well, and get that information to support that cause. You can be a sponsor. You can sponsor a hole at the golf tournament. You can enter a team, et cetera, et cetera. Most folks know how all that stuff works. All right. While it's just me on here, let me do one more quick. I did a testimony, our new sponsor, Ivy O'Sullivan Healthcare Services. Okay. I did a little testimony last week because about, how they assisted me, and the point was that you can trust that I trust them. they did a good thing for me. And so in turn, hopefully you can trust them. The most recent experience is, it's unfortunate for me, I guess, because I get into pain, but then they help me. So just real quick. So I had the lower back pain for years and years and years and went through it. That's the other testimony. Go back to the last show and check that out. But 2 years ago, I started having headaches, and I'm like, where are these headaches coming from? It's just like, and they were bad. They were not migraines. I started looking into it and figuring out what it was, talked to my doctor, what's going on. And it felt like the tension from my lower back had moved up maybe to my upper back and was going up my neck and was causing, headaches to start, and, or, a lot of allergies and stuff going on around here as well, causing that stuff to be even worse. And I should have known, but I went to, after going to doctors, I went back to my back surgeon. They're doing x-rays. I went to an allergy doctor, and everybody's, helping a little bit, but not really taking care of what needed to be taken care of. So I go talk to Dr. Gabe at Ivy O'Sullivan, and he has been one of the integral people recently. I went back and looked, and he and other doctors have done certain research on what they're calling text neck, TXT. So we're always looking at our phones nowadays, right? We're always looking down at our phones, and maybe that's what's called, I don't know, but I have definitely started not looking down so much, holding my phone up, making sure my computer screen's higher than it used to be. But Dr. Gabe was able to give me certain stretches, certain things I could do at home. Plus, like I say in the promo, not just your, normal, clicking and popping and doing whatever. He worked specifically on my upper back and my neck and talked to me about certain stretches and things I can do at my home, at my house, and to help me with that. And it just made a world of difference. So that's testimony number 2, text neck. If you're having any kind of troubles like that, go give them a try in downtown Spartanburg. That's Ivy O'Sullivan Healthcare Services. So, all right, kind of short show, and it was just me. I don't know, looking at the time, maybe it wasn't so short, but anyway, maybe we had a good time. Hey, the 4th of July was just recently. Hope you had a great time remembering our independence. We're going to keep our eye on Clemson in the courthouse. Don't forget that we're in the 20s.0. It's going to be a great decade. And let's see each other at the Orange and White weekend in August. So thanks again for checking us out each and every Sunday. Don't forget to click subscribe on the Fun Fans Podcast YouTube channel, as well as your favorite podcast platform. Follow us on social media and share. Please reach out to become a sponsor of the podcast. On behalf of the Fun Fans Podcast, J Thriller Entertainment, the Fanboys Fangirls Podcast Network, and Absentia Bailey Jackson, I'm sure he would say go Tigers. Thanks for listening.